Hi, my name is Doro Gero. I am chairman of a World Organization of Surveillance and Close Protection Professional. Today we discuss about advantages and disadvantages in using GPRS in covert surveillance. I would like to analyze the use of GPRS in the surveillance activity with the advantages and disadvantages, and then draw a conclusion regarding the opportunity of using such a method to keep a target under surveillance. In most specialized books in the area of the covert surveillance industry, the authors consider GPRS are useful without clearly explaining what benefits it brings. The problem that arises in the legality of its use in a world which is concerned about the exaggerated surveillance of personal life. It would immediately lead to the control of people's daily lives, which is a totally abnormal thing. From an operative point of view, the decision to use a GPRS is taken immediately after signing the contract with the client, at which point the investigation service provider take the decision to carry out the action with a significantly smaller number of investigators in order to have a higher profit for the companies. At this moment, the action is planned around using it, and then one or two people, two investigators, are focused only on the indication given by GPRS. From the moment the value of the information is improbable, and during the action, the activity of the investigators is carried out based on their experience, but also on luck. In my activity of 34 years in covert surveillance with 1,400 action carried out in the judicial environment of organized crime and approximately 300 in the private environment, I have never carried out surveillance with the aid of GPRS because in the country where I worked, this device is prohibited, but also because the level at which we are working, the use of this exposed us to an omnipresent danger, namely uncovering the conspiracy. Returning to our analysis, the beneficiary pays us the amount that was established for the performance of the service, and by using the device brings us the following advantages and disadvantages. The advantages of using it are: we are always informed about the position of the target. The option of losing the target is very small, since we will know later where it is. 3. We will pick up the target from the address where it arrives. But we have more disadvantages of using the device. 1. Attaching the device to the car brings very high risks of being seen. Removing the device is very dangerous. The crew relies on the device during the action and may lose visual contact with the target. Documenting the target while working is difficult and sometimes non-existent. Up to an address, the target can carry out various actions of giving or taking goods that we will never know about. The target can go to the parking lot of a mall, and the team will think they are shopping and then get into another car driven by another person. 7. The target arrives at the address, carries out the activity we are following, for example, hands over some documents and then leaves urgently, and we don't even know that he did, and we don't have any documentation. 8. The target is checked to observe the surveillance team. Then it goes directly to a car service where it picks up the car and observes the device, at which point the action ends, the team being discovered. These are advantages of using the device in number of 3, and disadvantages are in number of 8. In the first phase, we will be tempted to appreciate numerically the opportunity of its use. But in covert surveillance, the advantages and disadvantages are analyzed according to the effects they generate. For example, if you are seen attaching or detaching the device to the car, then we will automatically reveal ourselves and the action will end prematurely, the beneficiary being dissatisfied. If the crew relies on the device, loses visual contact with the target, then we can lose the target or we can't do the intermediate documentation on the way. Documenting the target while working is more difficult because we don't always have time to choose the appropriate position in the device that allows us to document it, or we don't get to have contact with the target in real time to document it. If the target parks in the parking lot of a mall, the team is on the way and the target stops short and gets into another car. Then the team does not arrive at the scene in time, and if they arrive, they do not have time to observe the departure and remain there next to the car a few hours, a day, a week, until the target returns to take him under surveillance. Instead of continuing the action, the well team is stuck in the parking lot without any hope of having information about the target's new route. He away and carrying out the activities for which the beneficiary paid us to investigate him and to document any activity he carried out. At this moment, the team leader is responsible for the lack of creativity that leads to the development of an unsuccessful plan. This is due to the lack of experience that I keep raising when you want to train in this field, especially by learning from books that contain knowledge from the internet. Returning, the team leader is faced with a very delicate situation of giving the money back and stopping the activity with the consequence of damaging the company image, to call the beneficiary telling him that he lost the target due to agglomeration or for him to invent a situation that does not attract his responsibility, after which he has to carry out the following activities urgently. 1. Gather people for a team. They can take over the target from the parking lot when it arrives, and that will allow it to be kept in surveillance without calling GPRS. This being used only as security for surveillance team that is called as soon as it loses direct contact. 2. To wait for the target until he comes to pick up his car and to continue the action if the beneficiary considers that the activity for which they were hired is going to open. Otherwise, it is advisable to stop the action with any consequences. 3. Do not have the device on the target's car until he has it under surveillance in order to know exactly when the target is coming back. Making an analysis, we can say that the advantages do not take precedence over 8 disadvantages, 7 of which can quickly lead the failure of the action. So, when we have to carry out an action, we will analyze its complexity, how many cars are needed to keep the target under surveillance, how many investigators are needed without drawing up the action plan based on the use of GPRS, but only taking into account the logical basis and the necessary stuff. At the same time, we will clearly analyze if the use of this device is permitted by law in the respective state. If you have access to the car to attach it in full coverness. We analyze if the target checks the car sometimes, if he is violent, if he has a weapon, if he is part of a group of organized crime, of terrorism, and then the decision to use the device is made. Finally, after analyzing the advantages and disadvantages, we can clearly state that the GPRS device could be used only in the condition where we only have to investigate a target that is not experienced, is not usually attentive, and does not give importance to what is happened around him, especially in the action of documentation. For the action in which the target is involved and commits illegal acts, is violent, is armed, GPRS can only cause us trouble, especially if he discovers the surveillance team. This was the live with advantages and disadvantages in use GPRS tracking in covert surveillance. I have good news for you. In this weekend, I put on World Organization of Surveillance and Close Protection Professionals the first 11 lessons from my course online, and he can the course will be available from Monday on the site of World Organization of Surveillance and Close Protection Professionals, and it is reduced for the members of the organization. And I invite you to take the course online, and after, with a little experience, we can work like a surveillance investigator. I have 60 lessons, point with point, in covert surveillance from A to Z. I invite you to become a member in organization and to benefit our promotion. From today to final of July, you can register in our organization without tax of register. Good luck in work, and I wait you to discuss about another problems in surveillance. Goodbye, my friend. Goodbye, my colleagues.